Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here with you. Particularly excited to join and share in this potent time. These last days of Elul, right before the world gets begun anew, please God, on Rosh Hashanah. So invite you to take a minute to arrive if you're still arriving. To me, it's already feeling really good. Even though I'm leading and like have to do something, it feels like different to be in a space where everyone is kind of moving towards quiet and stillness. It's feeling good to me. So you can even start to soften your gaze or close your eyes as I begin this teaching. Kind of sit through the teaching if you like. Today, I want to talk about grief and its role in a new year. So, grief and becoming. And I'll start by reading you something. I've been rereading, and This Is Real, and You Are Completely Unprepared, this High Holidays classic by Rabbi Alan Liu, Alav Shalom. Maybe you have too. And there's a wonderful Hasidic folktale that he tells about shofar. So here it is, short story. Every year before the days of Ah, the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic Judaism, held a competition to see who would blow the shofar for him on Rosh Hashanah. Now, if you wanted to blow the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov, not only did you have to blow the shofar like a virtuoso, but you also had to learn an elaborate system of kavanot, secret prayers that were said just before you blew shofar. So all the prospective shofar blowers practiced these kavanot, these prayers, for months, and they were difficult and complex. There was one person who wanted to blow the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov so badly that he'd been practicing for years. But when his time came to audition, he realized that nothing he had done had prepared him adequately, and he choked. His mind froze completely. He just stood before the Baal Shem Tov in silence. And then when he realized how egregiously he had failed, his heart just broke in two and he began to weep, sobbing loudly, his shoulders heaving and his whole body racking as he wept. "All right, you're hired," the Baal Shem Tov said. "I don't understand," the man said. "I failed completely. I couldn't even remember one kavanah." So the Baal Shem Tov explained with the following parable. In the palace of the king, there are many secret chambers, and there are secret keys for each chamber, but one key unlocks all the doors, and that key is the axe. The king is God. The palace is the house of God. The secret keys are the kavanot, are these complex prayers, and the axe, the key that opens every chamber and brings us directly into the presence of God, is the broken heart. So our meditation practice, this simple practice, is a practice of bearing witness to what is, staying with what is, getting close to, turning towards what is here, just as it is. And I love that it's a modest practice. By which I mean it's not about transforming or fixing or improving the self. It's not a practice of complex kavanot, even though sometimes it can feel that way. It's humble. It's just about accompanying the self and what's happening. And so there's a really gentle touch to that commitment to witness. And sometimes, often, because life includes pain, bearing witness means making space for that broken heart. And what I love about this story is that the Baal Shem Tov holds up that pain, that broken heart, especially at this time of year, like in the cosmic portal that's opening, as the point, right? It's the broken heart in the story. It's not the thing to get over. That's the thing that gets us through. That's what allows us to pray or to meditate or to serve God. That's the axe. So if you're going to blow the shofar, if you're going to usher in a new year, if you're going to do shuvah and daven and do all this hard work that's ahead of us, if you're going to be present in this season that is like a terrifying, rocky, intense season in the Jewish calendar and in our lives right now, what opens all that up is actually feeling into the broken heart, not the idea of that, but the felt sense, the actually being with the heart. So the question is, how do we stay with it? And I know a doula that has a saying in the births that she accompanies people through, with the laboring people that are bringing new life into the world, just like our new year is starting. She says, let it hurt. To the contractions, let them hurt. So in other words, get brave and get willing to be present to the moment, which is untamable and treacherous and holy too. So one more story. There's another Hasidic story, a Karliner Hasidic story about this, about letting it hurt. I learned it from Rabbi Eli Confer, a source sheet that he put together. So Misnagid, a skeptic of Hasidism's emotional intensity, skeptic, asks the Rebbe, asks the great rabbi, why do you scream when you pray? Fair question. Why do you scream when you pray? And in response, the Rebbe takes a pen and jabs it into the Misnagid's hand. And he screams. And the Rebbe says, when you're in pain, you scream. And so I wouldn't recommend his method. It's odd and cruel and unsettling. But I hear the Karliner Rebbe offering up the same wisdom as the Baal Shem Tov and the midwife or the doula and the Machzor and the Siddur, the prayer book for high holidays, all of the liturgy we're about to sing. And the same wisdom that our meditation practice, I think, keeps us coming back to in a very felt way, not in the intellectual way, but in the felt way. Let it hurt. Let the broken heart be your guide and your way in instead of the obstacle. So this is not only sound spiritual training, I think, for birth or for the chagim, for the holidays, but it's spiritual training for life, because we know that the world that emerges from creation on the cosmic level, and creation on the personal level, birthing new selves, or birthing a baby, is fundamentally uncertain. Uncertainty is baked into the fabric of this life. We're about to sing Ki Hine Kachomer, the liturgy. We're clay in the potter's hands. Our lives are shaped by forces that are beyond our control. So I think the days of Ah that are coming, and our meditation practice, which is kind of a way of getting in touch with and tasting this wisdom on a moment-to-moment level and on a daily level, they're initiations into a way of being that is open to this instability, that actually opens to this instability, even if it seems impossible, and that can actually relax into the tumult. So with that, let's practice. Let's practice. So you can find yourself in a comfortable enough position. You might start by Inviting the face to relax. And the chest and the belly. And receiving the breath in a soft belly. Not insisting, but just allowing for some softness in the posture. And you can get in touch maybe with the energy coursing through the body, the aliveness of the body. The vibrating of the hands. You might check in with the heart, just with that same light touch of awareness, sensing into the space of the heart and not needing anything. Just coming with this curiosity, this willingness. I'll hold you just as you are, and seeing if there's a physical sensation that rises to the top. You might even resist naming the emotion. Like words might come to you like numb. I don't feel anything. Or sadness or ease. But see if you can feel underneath words. Just the simple felt sense. So you can continue sitting with this just gentle awareness on the field of the heart, letting it be just as it is. And in the background, the breath, this felt sense, this physical experience of the body breathing itself. The breath is a sort of witness to the heart. If the heart ever feels like too much, you can always turn more fully to the breath, these waves of breathing. And so we'll sit like this in this modest practice for 8 more minutes in silence. You might place a hand on the heart to seal this moment of quiet. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Chloe, for this beautiful gift today. Friends, we seal the practice as we do each day, offering an opportunity for you, if you're in mourning, if you're observing a yard site, if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish, you're welcome to do so and to put the name of or names of anyone you are honoring today or holding in your heart. You can put those in the chat now or after you recite Kaddish. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, we ask that you please stay present for those who are. Offer your compassionate support, create a minyan of comfort for them. And thanks to Rachel for sharing the words of the Kaddish on the screen. If you're joining me, please rise in body or in spirit. And after the Kaddish, I will sound the shofar for us. And if you're reciting Kaddish, you can unmute at this time. Yitkadal, Amen.
Amen.
Friends, thanks so much for joining us today. And we hope if you're leaving us now, you'll be able to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow, John Silver will be back for the final installment of our shofar meditation with him. And really delighted that Rabbi Shir Meir Fight will lead us for our final sit of 5784 on Wednesday, leading into Rosh Hashanah. We hope you'll join us then. Also want to note that on October 7th, we will have our usual sit at the usual time, but we'll also be doing a reprise of that sit in the evening at 8 p.m. for those who can't join us during the day, just a half hour for us to gather, just to sit and feel the 1-year anniversary to commemorate the pain, the loss of last October 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern on the 7th. I know there are a number of other observances, commemorations, etc. We hope you'll join us for either or both during the day or in the evening that day. And with that, for those of you who are leaving us, we hope to see you tomorrow or soon. And if not, I want to wish you Shana Tova, a sweet, healthy year full of blessings. May the blessings begin in 5785. And if you're staying on, if you have a question that you'd like to ask, please put it in the chat. We'll keep an eye on that. And If it's a question, please write question all in caps. There was a question from Harris. Let's start with that. Okay, Chloe, you're still muted, so you have to unmute. Sorry. There you go. Harris is asking, as I said, I wondered where there's a difference between a broken heart and having one's heart break open. Is there a difference between having a broken heart and having one's heart break open? Um, Sounds like there's some interest in that question. Chloe, what do you make of that?
Beautiful. Um, I'm hearing echo. I don't know.
Oh, that's my, hold on. That's my original sound for musicians. Off now. Okay.
There. There's a beautiful teaching. Maybe Rabbi Mike, you can help me remember. I don't know if it was the Kotzker Rebbe who said the reason why the Torah says, like, place these words al levavcha on one's heart instead of in, is because something like too intimate about the words and not realistic about the words starting in the heart. Like, the best we can do is to put them on, and then at some point the heart will break open and the words will find their way in. So I don't know what that tells us about the difference between the heart breaking open and having a broken heart.
allowing it to be broken open. I guess it's a good lead into what the question that came up for me. First of all, I just want to say I love those teachings that you brought, which are such an important reminder, especially for those who go to synagogue and are confronted with so many words, so many prayers, so much stuff that becomes the focus point, that it really kind of, these Hasidic teachings about this really cut through that to the intention, the kavanah, what's really supposed to be happening. And I know that I have become myself personally so much more focused on that, like at any given moment, regardless whether you go to synagogue or whatever you do on the holiday, just to like take a moment to allow to focus on that, to focus on what should be happening right now. What would I like to happen? What's my practice? What's the practice that's called for in this moment? So the broken heart, I was really going to ask you because it's not so easy to explain what a broken heart is, and each person, of course, it's going to mean something different for them. So I was going to ask you, Chloe, if someone were to say to you, okay, right now, okay, either put the words on your heart and let your heart crack open so the words can penetrate, or crack your heart, like what do you actually do? Like I'm thinking for me, I'm thinking about all the pain that I try to keep at bay because it's so big, right? Whatever, like choose your poison, as it were, like all the different potential reasons for experiencing pain that I can send off. And I say, like, all right, just choose one of those and let that come in, or something. Let that penetrate for a moment. Just put down the guard for a minute. Like I don't know. I don't know if that resonates for you. Like, saying, oh, a little bit, I'm thinking out loud here about how to do that. Is that what we're talking about? We're talking about is it about pain? Like you gave that example of, that the Rebbe, the Rebbe who said, want to know why I scream? Here's why I scream, because it's so much pain, right? Is it about pain? Is it about allowing pain in? Is it something different than that? Is it more than that? What do you think?
Yeah. I think I like that drash about the heart breaking open and the words falling in, because I think maybe the word open is the key word in this concept around a broken heart. It's like in that way, I think they're the same. A broken heart and one's heart being broken open. It's like on both their cracks where things can actually get in. And the heart is usually so defended. Like in order to have a broken heart, I think there needs to be some level of like safety or feeling of like, oh, I can open to this. So maybe the first step actually is about cultivating some sense of safety.
Right. That's really
Which is
good.
why, like, you know, which is why, like, usually in meditation practice, we don't start with like, okay, now go to brokenness. It's like we're starting with like a practice that's grounding, and that's usually being trained on the breath, which is a sort of neutral,
Mhm.
easeful experience for many people. Like, and then with some safety, maybe even some chesed practice or some blessing, then with some safety, there's an ability for things that are already in here to rise to the surface. And then we can even open to more or invite more in, as you're
Right.
saying.
It's really in keeping. It's so in keeping with the approach that Dianu's approach that Rabbi Laura Bellows led us in last week, which starts before we get to the feelings, allowing feelings of grief and pain. That we start with gratitude. Like last Monday, a week ago,
Yeah.
we did gratitude practice, and you have to start there. Which is in keeping with what you're saying about cultivating a sense of safety that allows for that heartbreak, pain, fear, all the different challenging emotions to enter. I guess the other piece of it is discerning the kind of how to titrate it a little bit also, right? Like in being aware of whether we can be like once we crack that open, then we could be flooded really by
Yeah.
right. So maybe I want to say a few words about that, about how
Yeah.
the distinction between allowing the heart to be broken, so to the extent that that's called for, but not being flooded. I think especially we're thinking about trauma, that's a very important point.
Yeah. That feels important. That um I mean, that's kind of why I like to, when I'm turning to the space of the heart, like to keep the breath in the foreground or in the background, that there's something stabilizing also witnessing the heart. So,
Mhm.
but one could do more than keep it in the foreground. It's like you can actually, if this is hurting too much, turn for a moment to something
Okay.
more stabilizing,
Right.
and then come back. And so then the practice becomes like a really gradual, again, it's modest, like
Mhm.
a not it's in no rush, like a kind of gradual, um like gaining some more tolerance for being with
Mhm.
things as they are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A lot of wisdom there. A couple of really great. I just want to lift up a couple of these comments in
Mm.
the chat, which is, as always, full of a lot of wisdom. Um, First of all, Laura is asking this set on all the sets are live streamed on YouTube and all they're always there. So you can always revisit it. Um, uh, there was a in terms of that original question from Harris, Michael wrote, I think broken heart has hope. A heart that's broken open has hope. A broken
Mm.
heart is not open
Mm.
is despairing, which is a really, I thought,
Mm.
beautiful distinction. And Lisa wrote, I wonder if putting the words on one's heart leaves the action and intention to let it in for us to be partners in the effort, which I
Mm.
also really like, right? That's allowing
Beautiful.
the process to take place. Um, just scrolling down. Um, oh boy, a lot here. Um,
I see one
go,
note about grief and becoming. I'd
go
love
ahead.
to pick
Go
that
for
up.
it. Go for it.
One thing, so I gave birth a little over a year ago, and so I've been kind of in this like journey of birth Torah, and it feels like I've been feeling like this high holiday kind of like season is um like a cosmic birth experience where we're kind of like, Rosh Hashanah is Hayom Harat HaOlam, the day the world is conceived. We have like a conception and then a pregnancy, and the days of Ah, we're like returning in Tshuva, we're in labor, we're like returning to what's essential. And then on Yom Kippur, where is like the birth, where we're gonna we're kind of getting close to death, and then something new is being created. And you see, like, God's birth story in Genesis also has these elements of, like, actually there's a Hasidic master, the Meha Shaloach, who maps Genesis onto the birth story. It's like chaos and void is conception, and then let there be light is crowning. And like, it seems to me like, in the way that birth is really harrowing, these days are really harrowing, and include grief, and include, there's a midrash that, like, the creation of the world, like, there are many universes created and destroyed before our own. Like, destruction is baked into the creation.
Mhm.
So there's some way in which grief is just a part of it. It's just a part of life.
You know,
And
that's such a, I think that's so, two things you said, I think they're really, again, want to like underline or highlight, including that, like, that making that connection between the pain or with birth is a reminder that something is emerging out of it, right? Which makes the difference between despair and hope, right? And someone made the comment, which is totally legitimate, is that, there are many people, thousands of, millions of people who don't have the option to feel safe in order to feel the challenging feelings, right? Many of us have that luxury. Um, uh, and that can feel overwhelming. Like, how dare I sit here, while, right, people do this. But I think, just to note that, and number one, but the other thing you said at the beginning, Chloe, which I really appreciated so much, like I could, you were just noticing what it felt like as people were arriving, and we had like 230 people, 230 people here today. How like, even while we're in a place that somehow we can sense the presence of those who are practicing with us are in it, which can also create that sense of safety, right? I'm not feeling this by myself in isolation. I'm feeling it with other people, which is another source of strength and safety and hope, and inspiration, to do something. And that seems, I'm glad you mentioned Alan Liu's book too, of course, which, we're constantly referring to, which reminds us that, we're on a trajectory to go somewhere, and on the cusp of a new year. This has been, by everyone's accounts, not such a good one. Um, and we have no idea what it will give birth to in this new year, like what the possibilities will be. So I want to thank you for both of those things about lifting that up. Okay, we're just about out of time. I just want to thank you, as always. Such a pleasure. And it's also making me realize that I think you might have led the sit, maybe one of either the first sit or one of the first sits after October 7th last year.
Yeah.
And here we are, a year later.
Yeah.
Thank you for today and for each time you've led us. And want to wish you and family a sweet, healthy year. And may the hopes and dreams, may the blessings be fulfilled in this new year. Beautiful piyut that people may know, called Achot Katana, which has the refrain of "Let the curses of the past year be finished, and may the blessings of the new year begin." So may that be so. And thanks to Rachel for holding our space today, for each of you for being here. Chloe, thanks so much. And Shana Tova.